So my body of work at the minute is a series of 3 paintings. They're all 6 by 4 foot in scale. They're all completed in acrylic paint, and each canvas I built by hand as well, which is a process that I've really begun to enjoy doing. This painting here, it's not titled yet, none of them are, but this is the first one that I completed. It was the first idea I had of the series, and it's basically just depicting a usual living room scene, but in a landscape that I would have typically painted before I did this work. So these mountains, these hills for example, I've took reference from when I was up in Glencoe in Scotland recently. That was the inspiration for these. But yeah, I just wanted to really factor in sort of everyday life in this landscape and make sort of the non-surreal look surreal just due to placement. So we have aspects here of cost of living. So we've got the hot water bottle that everyone really needed over winter. We've got sort of the games and the PlayStation, sort of staying at home and being able to entertain yourself instead of going out. We've got the fridge, and it's completely barren apart from, which is something that I included as a bit of a joke, we've got half an avocado, just sort of reference to everyone, sort of the boomer sort of idea of, oh, if you didn't buy that avocado you could afford a mortgage, sort of narrative. So we also have like smoking, sort of the idea of, oh, because the person smokes they should be able to afford to live, and it's like, well no, everyone should be able to do what they want, you know, and still be able to afford to live. So yeah, we've just got all these different aspects. That sofa is actually my childhood sofa. I wanted to just include that, as well as the old TV, just sort of the idea of we're going back in time, the way society is just sort of reverting back and everything. Just we're not progressing, in my opinion. So that was basically the idea of this painting. So this is the second painting that I completed in the series. This is predominantly just looking at the cost of food prices and not being able to afford sort of things on the shelves, but then I wanted to sort of highlight the fact that sort of takeaways and sort of junk food hasn't increased as much in price as sort of these items. So we've got things like, we've got nappies, we've got Heinz beans, we've got, you know, bottled water, we've got cards, and I really wanted to include this fridge here, which is these ice lollies, and all the ice lollies are still there because as a parent, when you've gone and took your child out for a big day out and it's cost you about £100 in total to take them out, and then at the end of the day there's the question, can we get an ice cream? And as a parent living in the cost of living crisis, that to you is just like, oh god, it's another expense, and there's anxiety there, and I wanted to just include that just because of my experience. So yeah, and then we've got obviously the Amazon boxes and consumerism, we've got vending machines, takeaway bags and things like that, and I just wanted to paint this sort of picture of, you know, the landscapes getting eaten away due to all this sort of natural foliage and things coming in and breaking this sort of man-made situation down. But at the end of the day, even though we as sort of humanity in this painting has dissolved, the things on the shelves still remain because no one, even in the end, we couldn't afford them. And it's kind of poking fun at sort of how ridiculous the situation is anyway. Just the fact that, you know, these things are created in our society. They're not they're not natural things, they're man-made problems. And I wanted to really sort of put it almost like this is a ruin of the society that we're in, that we're leaving behind for the future generations. So that was the idea for that one. And then this painting here isn't finished, it's a work in progress. I should be having it done in the next week or so, but this is a scene where I've referenced Manchester Canal System. It's an area that I spend a lot of my time. I really enjoy film photography just as a hobby, so I spend a lot of my time in Manchester taking photos of spots, and basically, the Manchester Canal really sort of drew me in just due to the water. I always include water in every single one of my paintings. In all 3 of these paintings there is water. So I wanted this to kind of be the base point where everything starts. So it's like the start of, the built up community, and everything sort of begins here, and then as the paintings carry on, the water sort of goes through and everything sort of becomes dislodged. So when you look at my painting of the living room scene, it's just parts and fragments of a house, but as you get close to the city, it's these big buildings and everything's built up. So I just wanted to sort of do that as like a passing through sort of time and some travelling. But my main focus of this was to sort of look at the homelessness situation, to look at, the way sort of urban landscapes been built up and built up and built up, and we've put so much money into producing these buildings, into gentrifying it all, but we still have homeless people on the streets not receiving the help that they need in this current climate, of this social climate. And I really wanted to draw attention to that. I wanted to create sort of this apocalyptic scene, and for the audience to look at it and think, oh, it's apocalyptic and these tents are people trying to survive the apocalypse, and it's no, those tents were there before. They were a part of everyday life. We walk past them every day, they exist. And this is all that's come after, they still are there. So that's basically the idea for this painting. But as I say, it's not finished yet. It could completely change by the time that it is finished, and it might look different, but I just really wanted to focus in on sort of my own experience with the cost of living and get it integrated into my work, basically.
So, where do you see yourself in 5 years, would you say?
So, in 5 years, I would absolutely love to have my own organisation that basically gives art opportunities to disadvantaged groups, to members of the community that would not necessarily have the availability to have these opportunities. I've found, sort of through my experience of creating art, through exhibiting art, through sort of networking, it's not really a case of what you know anymore, it's a case of who you know. And it's giving people that opportunity, just to a foot in the door, if they want to become an art practitioner, and if they are from, let's say, low-income families, or they're from, areas that are sort of left behind in terms of funding, then I just feel like it's so important for there to be, an organisation there that can really pick them up and say, let's get you going, let's give you some funding, let's set you on your way. So that's basically what I really want to do in my future. I want to start by working with communities. My work is very based off sort of issues and topics that are really affecting communities now anyway, so I do feel like it'd be really beneficial for me as well to have all these points of view and to work with people from all backgrounds, because then my own artwork will really sort of be able to cover a wide range of people instead of just my own experiences. But fundamentally, like I said, I really wanted to go down the art therapy route, but I just felt the more I was working with sort of communities, the more I was looking at things, I realised the people that would really benefit the most from art therapy are people that won't even know what art therapy is. They're people, in the community. So I just wanted to try my best to sort of engage a career out of this.
What's it like being a resilient peer support mentor, and what's it like working on the programme?
It's really enriching to meet with people who are struggling a bit, and it feels really good to be able to give them a bit of guidance and see that it's making a difference for them. It's nice also because I'm a mature student, so it's been really nice to connect with people who are younger than me as well, and it kind of puts me back to where I was when I first started uni a really long time ago and started my art courses back then. So it makes me feel like I can relate, but I've gained some perspective since then. And so it feels good for me personally to see my own journey, that actually as you get older, you gain that perspective, you gain that resilience, you gain that maturity, and it helps level things out. So I think I can bring that to the people that I meet with, and I think that has been real beneficial for them.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for coming on and for talking to us about this. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know more about it. It's been great. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to this episode of In Focus. I've been Ben, and we will see you next time.